So, and I don't want to pitch Matt into something. He's not some crazy believer. But and actually, the premise of the whole film was fun. He was there going, I think there's something here. Let's go and have a look for it. And I was just acutely aware as we shot it in Northern California, so North San Francisco. The forest at night is a sketchy place. It really reminds you of just how insignificant we are and how vulnerable we are without our man-made objects to defend ourselves.
Sure.
And I, in the context of that, a bear for me was terrifying. Actually, I just thought they were creatures I'd seen on nature programs. The idea that there was something out there that viewed me as food. That if you live in England, we don't have that. We simply don't. We don't have mountain lions. I'm not going to get eaten by a badger. I think the largest carnivore in the UK is probably a fox or a badger. We don't have these things that you have.
All right.
It's difficult for you to understand. There's nothing that views me as a food source.
California killed all the bears, all the grizzlies. They used to have, the California state flag is a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
And their bears were similar, I believe, in size to coastal brown bears. The grizzlies, the brown bears that used to live there. And there's a place in California called Levesque. Is a town called Levesque that was named after, I believe his name was Stephen Levesque. He was the last man to get killed by a brown bear in California before they eradicated them. So this is in the 1800s, I guess. So they just started killing them all. They just killed them. Fuck these things. They're killing everybody.
Yeah.
Let's just kill them.
You can sort of see why.
Oh, yeah.
But a polar bear is even more madness again, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen that BBC show where they put the guy in the glass cube?
Oh, my God. I mean, what was going on there?
That is so terrifying. The thing is just smelling meat inside that cube and trying to get through it to get to him. It's biting it, and you see its massive jaws, and they don't eat anything but meat.
Yeah.
So they're the most dangerous of all polar bears. And ironically, they're the ones that we make seem to be the cutest. Fuck that thing. How do you know that's going to work, by the way?
Know.
Did you try that out on a bear?
It looks like a shit X-Wing fighter, doesn't it, from the inside?
Yeah. And this bear just gets to it. It's like, oh, there's meat in there. How do I get to that meat? And we make those things out to be our friends. That's the, what would you do for a Klondike bar? They sell Coca-Cola. They sell Klondike bars. And this bear is just a fucking super predator.
Baloo. Baloo was a bear.
It's systematic.
What's Baloo?
Baloo, Jungle Book.
Oh, yeah,
the friendliest. It's amazing, isn't it, that we anthropomorphize bears.
Yeah.
More than just about any other creature.
Yogi.
Paddington bear.
Sure. Yeah.
Friendly, cuddly. I think because they do look quite appealing. Mm-hmm. And they are dog-like, aren't they? They're slightly dog-like. Snout.
Sure.
Shape of head.
Well, we put hats on them and shit. Only you could prevent forest fires.
And they want to eat you.
Yeah, they want to eat you. They want to eat anything that's slow. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're nature's cleanup crew.
A friend of mine walked to the North Pole for some reason. I don't know why. And he had a lot of training beforehand. This is a long time ago, but the polar bear training that he talked about was quite difficult to absorb. Really, effectively, it was that there was no gun that you could carry on an expedition like that if you're just on your own or with three other people with sleds.
Right.
There's nothing you could carry that you could immediately produce that would stop a polar bear, an adult polar bear. So the best thing they had was a short shotgun that had a solid bolt in it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could get that one thing off, you could stop it. But there's no gauge of shotgun that was going to stop one of these things. It was coming at you. So they carried this thing. They carried this thing that had a solid bolt in it. That's all he had. I don't know much about guns, but that's what they said they were given.
Ugh. There's some pistols that you can effectively unload into a bear and stop them.
A 50 cal would stop it, would it?
Yeah, well, sure. A 50 cal. I don't have a 50 cal pistol, but they have 40 magnums, 44 magnums.
Well, that would stop a bear.
You have to shoot it multiple times. Yeah, not one. And, like if you have a 38 or a 9mm, good luck. Good luck.
Is that just
It'll bounce right off its head? Their heads are so thick. You could literally shoot it in the forehead and it'd probably bounce off its forehead. I mean, they bite each other. You've seen them go to war with each other. When they bite each other,
oh, God.
They have insane amounts of power and bite force. And they're just clamping down on each other's face. And they'll do it for half an hour and walk away like it was nothing.
Okay, that versus a big gorilla.
That's a good question. We've had that question many times.
What is it?
I think the gorilla is at a severe disadvantage because it doesn't really kill anything.
Yeah.
So the gorilla just gnashes its teeth at other gorillas and makes like he's a badass, and they have incredible power, but they don't even eat meat. Whereas the bear, all it does is run around killing things. That's all it does. Kills things and eats dead things, and it's what it wants to do. I got my money on the bear.
I love it. I love it. What I know about is cars, and I'm here to asking questions about bears. But
Well, they're fascinating. It's a
They are.
fascinating part of our world, and it's all the anthropomorphizing is a really fascinating aspect of it. And I think in America it happened with Teddy Roosevelt with the teddy bear. I think that's the beginning of the end. And then Disney movies were a huge problem. Disney movies are a huge problem because all the bears are your friend. They all talk to everybody and hey, and say, like, why would you kill the bear? Like, that is a giant forest dog. That's an evil animal that it doesn't give a fuck about you or your kids. It'll pull you out of your tent. It'll eat you. 100%. And they're wonderful and they're beautiful. And we should definitely keep a healthy population of them. I'm not saying we should eradicate them, but know what they are and don't be influenced by these goddamn cartoons and movies, which have fucked people's heads up.
yeah, it's as a parent you realise it as well. Particularly in the UK, we don't have dangerous species of animals like that, but we do through anthropomorphizing them in films and cartoons. We make things cute that might not be cute.
Sure.
Be- we have a real urban fox population in the UK. They actually started in my hometown of Bristol. The fox is a clever creature, and it worked out that it was much easier to come into town and raid bins than it was to stay out there trying to find rabbits in the countryside. And these nighttime foxes they were very clever. No one really knew they were there. The BBC made a fantastic documentary, I think, again, Attenborough in the early 80s about urban foxes, and they've spread throughout the UK. And the fox is this, in most cartoons, it's a lovely, cuddly thing with a bushy tail. It's a beautiful colour, but they're predators. They're a real problem for farmers, and they eat a lot of poultry. I'm not even going into fox hunting. That's not my world. But there's been a few stories recently of foxes going into people's houses and attacking babies and stuff like that. And then you see on Instagram people feeding the foxes in their back gardens, and you think that's not a domesticated animal.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't. You've got to decide one or the other.
Also, if you feed them, then they become accustomed to getting food from that particular area, and then you kind of fuck them up because then they lose their ability to hunt.
Yeah.
If you do it too often, if you provide them with food every day, you're going to fuck them up.